I was bullied. The people who treated me horribly even threatened to come to my house. I begged them not to. Because they didn't know I was the only normal one in my family. My dad is a serial killer. My mom is a Yandere. My brother has an antisocial personality. Only I am a delicate, pitiable little flower. I came home with an incredibly heavy heart. My dad opened the door for me. He was wearing an apron and smiling very gently. "Hungry? Dad made you some snacks." The smile on his face grew wider. But I felt scared. Dad's apron was covered in mottled red stains. Clearly, they were fresh. Dad followed my terrified gaze downwards, then smiled. I accidentally got the apron dirty again. Your mom's going to nag me later." I nervously took off my shoes and walked into the house. A young woman was tied to a chair. Her hair was disheveled, her face covered in injuries, and her lips were sewn together. When she saw me come in, she let out an agitated whimper and looked at me pleadingly. My body trembled, and I looked away. This lady, she left her daughter, not even 5 years old, outside while she went off with a man. That poor child met with an accident and passed away just like that. Can you imagine how much pain she must have been in before she died? Dad said softly. I sat stiffly on the sofa, not daring to look in that direction. Soon, a piercing scream rang out. The woman's agonizing screams lasted for a good 10 minutes before gradually fading. Dad took off his glasses, wiped the red off the lenses, and smiled at me. "Sweetie, things might get a bit gross now, you should go to your room." After getting permission, I quickly ran back to my room. Behind me, I heard Dad sigh. I heard him mumble, "How come this child's personality isn't like ours at all?" At this moment, my legs were already trembling so much they felt weak. I was covered in a cold sweat. This wasn't the first time I'd seen Dad like this. The first time he killed someone in front of me, I was only 5. As I watched in terror, Dad dealt with a man. He said this man had been abusing his wife for years, leading her to take her own life. But the man hadn't been punished at all. So, he had to punish him personally. I took a deep breath and finally managed to calm down. But what made me most nervous was tomorrow night. The group of people who bothered me every day were coming to my house. Just thinking of their faces made my stomach ache. I had clearly begged them many times not to come to my house. But after slapping me a few times, they laughed and said they wanted to see what kind of family would raise someone like me. But they had no idea, no one who had ever been to my house had come out alive. There was a knock on the door. I opened it, and my mom was standing outside. Mom has a very gentle and beautiful face, but only I know how terrifying she can be. Mom smiled and stared at me. "Take off your clothes." "Mom," I looked at her, almost pleadingly. But I still tremblingly took off my clothes. "Who did this?" Mom's smile grew wider. But only I knew that Mom was very angry right now. When she gets angry, she likes to do scary things. When I was 5, a little boy in kindergarten pulled out a handful of my hair. The next day, that boy disappeared. The news said he accidentally fell from a building. But only I knew that the lollipop the boy was clutching before he fell was the kind Mom liked to buy for me the most. When I was in elementary school, the female teacher in my class thought I was from a poor family and often deliberately made sarcastic remarks to me. Even though my desk mate and I were on cleaning duty together, she always assigned me the dirtiest and most tiring tasks. Seeing me fall in the bathroom while carrying a heavy bucket of water, the female teacher burst out laughing. I didn't dare tell my family. Although I hated this female teacher, I didn't want my family to do bad things even more. But Mom, with her keen senses, still found out about it. Not long after, I saw the news of this female teacher's death. She was tormented and killed by several thugs on her way home at night. When I saw the photos of those thugs, I was stunned. Because I clearly had seen Mom talking and laughing with them near our home. Mom's cold fingers touched my wounds. My thoughts were pulled back, and I shivered in fear. Mom sighed softly, "Sometimes I really wonder, are you really my child?" I looked at her face and said nothing. Because I knew, I was indeed not their biological child. I've always had a soft personality and cry very easily. I remember when I was little, the cat I raised accidentally ran out when I opened the door. By the time I found it, it was already very weak. I cried until I couldn't breathe. My brother couldn't stand it anymore. He said to me coldly, "You don't want it to suffer anymore, right?" I nodded with teary eyes. The next second, I saw my brother put the kitten out of its misery. But I clearly remember, the corners of my brother's mouth were slightly turned up. Later, Dad checked the surveillance footage and saw that the cat had been tortured like this by two boys from the same neighborhood. We found the parents of those two boys. They said dismissively, "Isn't it just a stray cat? How much money? We'll compensate you. Call the police? Don't be ridiculous, our kid is only 14. And frankly, you were the ones who accidentally let the cat out. I haven't even said anything about your cat scaring my kid." The boy peeked out from behind his mother, smiling arrogantly and maliciously, "Mom, that cat scratched us first. Did you hear that? I haven't even asked you for money yet, and you're the ones coming to us first. Who knows if your cat has rabies or something?" The woman snorted coldly. I was so angry, tears streamed down my face. I saw on the surveillance that they deliberately stepped on Whisker's tail, that's why Whiskers scratched them. The boy said without a hint of guilt, "Who said I did it on purpose? It was an accident. Cats that scratch people like this should be killed." I rushed up angrily, wanting to argue with him, but was pushed to the ground by the boy's mother. My brother helped me up and said lightly, "That's right, when dealing with animals that scratch people, they should be killed." His tone carried an extreme iciness. Dad and Mom didn't say anything, just smiled and looked at the woman and her child. The woman seemed to have never encountered parents like mine, who didn't argue with her and whose expressions didn't even change. She guiltily shooed us away. A few nights later, after crying myself awake, I wanted to go to the kitchen to get some water. The main door opened. I saw my brother walk in. In the darkness, his face was indistinct. I smelled a faint scent of blood. My brother's jacket was stained with a striking crimson. "Bro, what were you doing?" I asked, trembling. Although a very terrifying thought had already formed in my mind. He grinned. "Brother went to deal with some animals that scratch people." The next day, many police officers came to our neighborhood. It turned out those two boys had their stomachs cut open alive last night, their intestines spilling all over the floor. This is my family. They seem to pamper me, love me, yet they make me feel terrified. Mom pinched my cheek. "What are you thinking about?" Mommy was just saying it casually. "You, my dear, are the precious baby I carried for 10 months. Sweetie, Mom found a letter in the mailbox, it's for you." Mom took out the envelope. I opened it curiously, and then my pupils constricted, my whole body spasming. Inside was a photograph. In the photo, I was being stepped on, my stomach pinned to the ground like a pathetic dog. Those bullies were pouring glue on my head. They were laughing very happily. I still remember what they said. "A bitch doesn't deserve such beautiful hair." The pain of being stomped on the stomach by high heels felt as vivid as if it were happening now. Behind the photo was a sentence. "We're really looking forward to visiting Sweetie's house to see how a family of bitches lives." At the end, there was even a very cute smiley face drawn. Cold sweat trickled down my forehead. I subconsciously tried to hide the photo behind my back. But Mom didn't give me a chance to hide it. She easily took the photo from my hand. I looked at her anxiously. The expression on her face didn't change at all. She still wore a faint smile. Sweetie, are these injuries on your body from them? You secretly cut your hair short before, was it because of them too? I nodded apprehensively, trembling as I pressed my cheek against her hand. Mom, please, I can transfer schools, or we can tell the teacher. I'll tell them not to come over. Don't hurt them. I was like a pitiful little animal, whimpering a weak plea to my mother. Before, when I made Mom angry, this trick always worked, and she would forgive me. Mom smiled. Her overly dark eyes stared at me. Sweetie, although Mommy loves it when you act cute, this time it won't work. Didn't Mommy tell you we should be hospitable to guests? How can we turn them away? Mom lovingly stroked my face and whispered softly in my ear, we will definitely prepare the grandest, most unforgettable night for them. My body turned cold, bit by bit, after hearing Mom's words. At night, I had a nightmare. In my dream, I was back to when I was 8 years old. I was standing barefoot in the living room. The living room was dark, the lights weren't on. Mom and Dad's room door was slightly ajar. A faint light seeped out from inside. I heard their voices talking. Curiously, I walked over, hugging my doll. I don't know if bringing this child back was right or wrong. You regret it? Not exactly regret, just that this child's personality. If we don't like her anymore in the future, let's just kill her. Anyway, our garden has more than one body. A chill shot up from my feet to my limbs. 8-year-old me felt as if I had fallen into a cold hell. Suddenly, the room fell into silence. Mom and Dad's faces slowly peeked out from behind the door. They showed identical smiles, staring at me and saying, "Children who eavesdrop on their parents are bad children." Oh. I woke up with a jolt. Covered in sweat. A conversation I had unintentionally overheard when I was 8 became my nightmare. Like a rope wrapped around my neck. I didn't know which day this rope would tighten. I'm not their biological child. That's why my personality is nothing like theirs. If Mom and Dad were unhappy one day, I would be killed. Just like those people Dad killed, throat slit, watching my own blood spurt out, desperately waiting for death. Suddenly, my peripheral vision caught the door of the room, which was actually slightly ajar. I was shocked. I distinctly remembered locking the door before going to bed. A figure stood quietly in the darkness. I recognized the outline of those high-end, exquisite leather shoes. "Bro," I stammered. My brother walked out of the darkness. He was usually very busy with work and rarely came home. I hadn't seen him for almost 3 months. He looked down at me, his handsome face showing no emotion. "Why are you back, bro?" I forced a smile. In this family, compared to Mom and Dad, my brother actually scared me the most. Because every night he was home before, no matter how many times I locked my door, I would wake up from a nightmare to see my brother sitting expressionlessly by my bed, staring at me intently. He raised his hand and caressed my ear. My brother's fingers were very cold. I shivered and suppressed the discomfort in my heart. But I didn't show any expression of resistance. Because I knew, the more I resisted, the more excited he would become. Mom called me, said your classmates are coming over to play tomorrow, and told me not to be absent. My body gradually stiffened, my back tensed. Our whole family has to entertain the guests properly, right, sweetie? He chuckled and pinched my ear. Also, I missed you. My brother slowly took off his coat. He sat on the edge of my bed, his eyes staring at me like a greedy venomous snake. Why can't sweetie hug brother like she hugs her teddy bear? My brother's eyes were incredibly dark as he spoke in a low, hoarse voice. His voice was very pleasant, with a unique raspy quality. But I only felt waves of coldness wash over my body. Bro, I want to sleep. Can you go? I said, my face pale, mumbling. My brother stared at me for a long time. Finally, he placed a gentle kiss on my forehead. Good night then, sweetie. He got up and walked out of the room. I clutched the blanket tightly, pulling it over my head, curling up inside. I knew. He hadn't left. He was just pretending to leave. Because a sticky, cold gaze had been fixed on me the whole time. When I woke up again, it was already morning. Last night, I had fallen asleep in a daze. I went to the bathroom and quickly washed up. The person in the mirror had an overly delicate and pale face. I took a deep breath and said to myself, no matter what, I have to stop them from coming home today. In the corner of the living room, there were a few more black trash bags, bulging. I could even smell the faint, metallic scent wafting from those trash bags. A wave of nausea rose in my stomach. I didn't need to guess what was inside. But what puzzled me was that the number of trash bags didn't seem right. There were far fewer than before. Sweetie, come quick and have breakfast. Dad made you lean pork congee specially. Dad, wearing an apron, beamed. On the dining table, there was a pot of steaming hot congee. The air was filled with a strong aroma of meat. My brother, dressed in a suit, sat at the dining table, elegantly scooping a bowl of congee. My face pale, I sat at the table, looking at the unnaturally bright red meat chunks floating in the congee. Could this be? A very bad thought occurred to me. My brother took small sips of the congee and said with a faint smile, "Why isn't Sweetie drinking?" Indeed, young people's meat is much tastier than old people's. The next moment, I couldn't hold it in any longer and ran to the bathroom to dry heave. Mom's complaining voice sounded from the living room. "You child, don't keep joking with your sister. You know Sweetie is timid. I bought this pork from the market early this morning." Hearing Mom's words, I let out a long sigh of relief and slumped to the floor. I turned my head, only to meet my brother's smiling eyes. I forgot. He loved seeing me in a mess. I refused the driver's offer to take me and, distracted, took the bus to school. As soon as I entered the classroom, those pairs of eyes that I feared all stared at me. Like beasts spotting their prey. I uneasily walked to my seat and sat down. As soon as I sat down, I felt something was wrong. Muffled laughter came from behind me. I wanted to stand up. But my skirt was firmly stuck to the chair. Suddenly, the crisp sound of fabric tearing rang out. All the students turned their heads. My skirt was torn. No one laughed out loud. But their eyes held blatant mockery. Instantly, my face turned deathly pale. Oh dear, who poured glue on Sweetie's chair and made our Sweetie look like a fool? Here, wear my jacket. Chloe approached me affectionately and gently put her jacket around my lower body. I flinched in panic. Mike, get Sweetie a new chair. The tall, burly boy with a crew cut readily agreed and quickly replaced my chair. But I saw a flash of malice in his eyes. All right, Sweetie, class is about to start, hurry up and sit down. Chloe pushed me down without allowing any argument. The next moment, excruciating pain shot up from the base of my thigh. I let out a short cry of pain, and cold sweat instantly broke out on my forehead. Chloe gently whispered in my ear, in a voice only we could hear, "Sweetie, did you know? In ancient times, bitches were drowned in pig cages. But I thought that was too cruel for you, so I just stuck a lot of thumbtacks on your clothes. You should be grateful." I was in too much pain to speak, only able to gasp for air. The class bell rang. Chloe returned to her seat. I could feel blood seeping from my skin. Sticky, warm. The homeroom teacher walked in. When I looked up, our eyes met. She saw my face, almost drained of color from the pain. But she quickly looked down and nonchalantly opened her textbook. Actually, it wasn't that I hadn't sought help from the teacher. I had told her. She had said she would help me. That day, she even said she wanted to have a good talk with me after school. The teacher's expression was very sincere. Perhaps I was too anxious and overlooked her slightly trembling hands and unnatural eyes. The teacher took me to a quiet private room, saying she wanted to have a good conversation with me there. But the moment I entered the private room, I saw Chloe and the others, their faces beaming with smiles. That day, it hurt a lot. But I was used to it. In a daze, I started to laugh at myself. I clearly knew that Chloe's father was a high-ranking official and had donated a lot of money to this school. No one dared to offend her. The pain became increasingly unbearable. I turned my head and saw a familiar figure flash past the window. I couldn't bear the pain any longer and suddenly stood up. My desk mate gasped, "Your clothes are covered in blood." Chloe spoke up in time, "Teacher, I think Sweetie got her period. I'll take her to the restroom." "No need, I can go by myself." The homeroom teacher glanced at me and said coldly, "Just let Chloe go with you." Whispers filled the classroom. I heard Sandy's family can't even afford sanitary pads, she uses tissues instead. Ugh, so disgusting, no wonder there's so much blood. I opened my lips, wanting to explain, but ultimately lowered my head and said nothing. Chloe's long, manicured fingernails dug into my arm. It hurt. After she smilingly pulled me away from the classroom, her smile vanished, and she violently pushed me to the ground. I fell heavily. Chloe looked down at me, expressionless. I looked up at her too. When did it become like this? Many chaotic thoughts flashed through my mind. When I first transferred here, I wasn't bullied, everyone was quite friendly to me. This was a prestigious school. Perhaps it was because I took the bus to school every day. Or perhaps it was because I didn't fit in with them. Or maybe it was because the senior Chloe had a crush on, stopped me after school one day and, blushing, said he liked me. But, it was for their own good. Those who wanted to be friends with me, those who confessed to me, all suddenly disappeared one day. Because my brother held me tightly and whispered to me like a lover, "I'm sorry, I was just too jealous. Why can they win Sweetie's affection? But Sweetie has never truly smiled at me." Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my fingertips. Chloe's small Chanel leather shoes were stepping on my fingers. "Sweetie, I'm really looking forward to being a guest at your house tonight. You have to entertain us well. Make sure we have a good time." Chloe's beautiful face held an innocent cruelty. I looked at her for a long time, finally forcing out a numb word from my throat, "Okay." Chloe was stunned. She didn't seem to expect me to agree. But soon, an even more malicious smile appeared on her face. "Really looking forward to it?" "Yes, really looking forward to it. After school." Chloe and the others, afraid I would run away, surrounded me on both sides. Outside the school gate, a white Maybach was parked. A tall man leaned against the car door. The moment I saw the man, my body instinctively recoiled. It was my brother. "Sweetie, I'm here to take you home," my brother said with a smile. I saw a flash of surprise in the eyes of Chloe and her two companions. The smile on Chloe's lips widened. She said softly, "Sweetie, why didn't you tell me you have such a handsome brother?" I remained silent. Chloe very generously stepped forward and introduced herself, "Hello, brother. We are Sweetie's good friends. My name is Chloe, and Sweetie invited us to her house to play today." My brother raised an eyebrow and smiled, "You are very welcome." When I tried to sit in the front passenger seat, Chloe subtly pushed me away. "Sweetie, I'm not feeling well. The front seat is more spacious." "Brother, can I sit in the front?" "Of course, you can," my brother replied with a smile. His gaze slowly moved down from Chloe's face to her exposed, fair, and straight legs. A blush quickly appeared on Chloe's face. Ashley nudged my shoulder and said with ill intent, "Hey, your brother's into Chloe, isn't he?" "Yes." He was interested. Knowing him as I do, he was just now clearly thinking about how to dismember those legs. If he marries Chloe in the future, then you'll be family. Sweetie, you'll be very happy with Chloe as your sister-in-law. Ashley whispered in my ear. I knew she wanted to see me scared. But she was wrong. I turned my head and gave her a reckless grin. Ashley was stunned. Chloe plopped down into the passenger seat. But she quickly jumped up with a scream. A smear of blood was seeping from the top of her thigh. A small thumbtack was stuck in her thigh. My brother showed just the right amount of surprise and apology. I'm sorry, how did a thumbtack get here? Let me take you to the hospital first. Chloe's eyes were red with pain. She stared at my brother, her eyes filled with surprise and suspicion. I suddenly remembered the fleeting shadow I had seen outside the window earlier, and my heart sank. So he had been watching me all along. My fingers clenched the fabric of my clothes tightly, but my eyes happened to meet my brother's in the rearview mirror. His eyes curved slightly, with obvious pleasure. I hastily looked away. We took Chloe to the hospital. While her wound was being treated, she cried from the pain and subconsciously grabbed my brother's clothes. But soon, she let go in a panic. I'm sorry. It's okay, this was my mistake in the first place, my brother said gently. Chloe smirked and turned her head to look at me, quite pleased with herself. My face was pale, and my shoulders trembled slightly. Ashley lowered her voice and said, Hey, are you afraid Chloe will steal your brother? No. That's not it. If only she could really steal him away. Before my brother deals with his prey, his temper becomes surprisingly gentle. I was scared. A bone-chilling fear enveloped my entire body. In a daze, I saw the three people before me turn into skeletons. From the moment they got into the car, they lost their chance to survive. They eventually came home with me. Mike looked around and whispered in shock, Sandy, your family isn't poor at all. Why do you take the bus to school every day? It made me think you were some broke loser, if I had known. He didn't finish his sentence. I sneered inwardly. If you knew I was rich, you wouldn't bully me? Chloe's expression didn't change much. She politely greeted my parents. Mom made coffee for everyone and smiled, Sweetie actually has 3 good friends. I've never heard her mention you all. Mike probably didn't expect my mom to be so young and beautiful. His dark face flushed slightly. At this moment, he looked like an ordinary, innocent boy. I calmly watched his reaction. But I had never forgotten how cruel his expression was when he punched me in the stomach, blow after blow. Mike took a sip of coffee and suddenly stared curiously at the black plastic bag in the corner, asking, Uncle, Auntie, what's in there? I nervously clutched my cup, my knuckles turning white from the force. Dad smiled slowly, What is it? You can go see for yourself. Mike actually stood up and walked towards the plastic bags. My heart was in my throat, pounding wildly. The smiles on Mom and Dad's faces grew wider. Mike opened the plastic bag. He covered his mouth. So smelly. This meat must be spoiled. So disgusting. Mike backed away a few steps in disgust. Inside the plastic bag were some bloody meat scraps. An unpleasant smell wafted from the bag. Chloe and Ashley both frowned and subconsciously covered their noses. This meat is some leftover scraps from the market. I was planning to use it to feed the stray dogs in the neighborhood, Dad explained with a smile. I let out a slight sigh of relief. Mike was closest to these bags. The smell made his face turn pale, and he kept backing away. Chloe suddenly spoke, Uncle, Auntie, actually Sweetie has a really funny nickname in class. Mom smiled, Oh? Chloe said lightly and quickly, Bitch. The atmosphere instantly froze. She smiled and looked at my parents. But my parents, or my brother, showed absolutely none of the reaction she wanted. They looked at Chloe very calmly, the smiles on their faces not even faltering a bit. Mom even chuckled lightly, as if she had heard something amusing. If you use a cute little dog to describe Sweetie, it's quite fitting, Dad said cheerfully. The smile on Chloe's face was a bit strained. Ashley and Mike looked at my parents as if they were looking at fools. Ashley whispered in my ear, "Are your parents mentally challenged or something? Can't they understand such an obvious hint?" Her voice wasn't quiet. Loud enough for everyone to hear clearly. But my parents still acted as if they hadn't heard. Ashley unhappily chugged a large mouthful of coffee. Suddenly, her expression turned strange. Ashley spat something out. Her eyes suddenly widened. "What is this? How can there be a human finger?" Ashley screamed in terror. But everyone around her frowned at her. "A finger? This is a human finger. Sandy's parents killed someone." Ashley stammered incoherently. "Ashley, calm down. Take a good look at what you just spat out," I said calmly. Ashley panted heavily, mustered her courage to look again, and her face turned deathly pale. "How could it be? How did it turn into a sugar cube? I clearly saw a finger just now," Ashley said, trembling. "What finger? Have you been watching too many horror movies?" Mike sneered. I coldly looked out the window. A patch of unusually vibrant flowers grew there. It is said that if you grind these flowers into juice and add it to food, it can cause hallucinations. It took Ashley a long time to calm down. But soon, it was Mike's turn to act strangely. He frequently glanced towards the plastic bags and said nervously, "Did you guys hear any noise, coming from the plastic bags? It's been rustling. Are there rats in there or something?" Chloe frowned. "What are you talking about? You all didn't hear it?" Mike jumped up from the sofa. His face was pale. "It's been rustling, so loud. It's so loud, how could you not hear it?" Suddenly, the expression on his face froze. Mike looked as if he had seen something extremely terrifying, and a nearly broken whimper escaped his throat. I had never seen such a frightened expression on his face. I couldn't help but wonder what Mike had actually seen. The next second, a foul-smelling liquid flowed from his lower body. Chloe and Ashley screamed, "Mike! Are you sick?" But Mike acted as if he hadn't heard. He stared intently at the plastic bag. "It crawled out, that woman crawled out from inside, didn't you see, crawled out," he muttered like a madman. And my parents and brother, the smiles on their faces bloomed to their fullest at this moment. Ashley was the first to break. She cried and said she wanted to go home. "This place is too weird, I want to go home." Although Chloe hadn't seen anything, her brow was tightly furrowed, clearly feeling something was off too. "We're leaving." She stood up, picked up her bag, and as she was about to leave, she suddenly stared intently at me. "Impossible." Chloe's face turned visibly pale. She looked at me as if her soul had left her body, muttering, "You're clearly dead, Crystal, already dead." I knew Chloe was starting to hallucinate too. I had heard the name Crystal before. Before I transferred schools, the person bullied by Chloe and the others was Crystal. It was said she eventually couldn't take it anymore and jumped from the school rooftop. Crystal's death was quickly covered up, without causing any ripples. Hearing Chloe call out this name, Ashley went crazy, recklessly pulling Chloe towards the door. But soon, the expressions on their faces were replaced by fear. The main door was securely fastened with 8 locks. My brother stood in front of the door, smiling at them. How can the guests leave before they've had their fun? Their slaughter was about to begin. I curled up on the sofa, my body trembling uncontrollably. Chloe and her 2 companions fainted. When they woke up, they were tied up tightly. I stood behind my parents and brother, feeling nervous and complicated. "Hey! Are you guys crazy? What are you tying us up for?" After Mike regained consciousness, he struggled violently. But he soon realized that these seemingly thin ropes were incredibly strong. The more he struggled, the tighter the ropes bound him. Ashley cried out, "What are you doing? Why did you tie us up?" Although Chloe's face was very pale, she was the calmest of the three. "I advise you to let me go back quickly, otherwise my dad will definitely not let you off," Chloe said coldly. My brother tilted his head slightly. He walked over to Chloe and squatted down. Chloe's chest heaved violently. I saw a fear she couldn't suppress on her face. "Dad?" A low chuckle rumbled in my brother's throat. "The dad you're talking about, is it him?" My brother took out his phone. On the phone was a surveillance video. A man was naked, his hands and feet bound, hanging upside down. He struggled constantly, letting out terrified whimpers. "You're saying, this thing, fat and greasy like a pig, is your dad?" The composure on Chloe's face finally shattered. She screamed angrily, "Let my dad go. You psycho. I heard your dad was a pig butcher before he became an official. The pork he butchered was much more fragrant than others. Chloe, do you know how he killed them?" Chloe's face was devoid of color. "Others kill pigs with a quick, single cut. But your dad didn't like doing it that way. He liked to torture the pigs. While the pigs were still conscious, he would cut off their limbs and slowly skin them. He believed that the meat from pigs that died in extreme agony was the most delicious." Chloe panted heavily, her chest rising and falling violently. Her body was trembling. "What exactly do you want?" Chloe said through gritted teeth, suppressing her fear. "Chloe, I'm going to give you a chance to live, okay?" My brother's voice was incredibly gentle. "Between your father and you, one can live. Now, I'm giving you this choice." Ashley cried and shouted, "You want to kill us? Murder is illegal, you'll be sentenced to death." Mike also helplessly screamed and yelled to be let go. Mom lovingly stroked my head, "You're very scared, aren't you? Poor thing, but we can't let you go. When you bullied our sweetie, she must have been very scared too." Ashley cried, "I'm sorry, sweetie, please let me go. After this, I'll pretend nothing happened. I won't bully you anymore, I'll listen to whatever you say." That tall and strong Mike who could make my nose bleed with a single punch, now also showed me a humble, pleading expression. "Me too, I beg you, sweetie. I'll be your slave from now on. I won't be Chloe's lackey anymore. It was all her idea to bully you, it has nothing to do with me." I stared at them blankly. At this moment, I just felt it was a bit noisy. Dad looked at me lovingly, "Sweetie, what do you say we should do?" Mom also turned to look at me at this moment. I clenched my fists tightly. As if only pain could calm me down. What should I say? What should I do? At this moment, my heart was pounding violently. After a long silence, I heard myself say softly, "You guys decide." The faces of the three of them lost their last bit of color at this moment. So, the faces of living people can sometimes look so similar to corpses. "Brother, Chloe, my patience is running out. I'm only giving you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Pain and ferocity flashed across Chloe's face. Finally, she gritted her teeth and said fiercely, "I want to live." A smile appeared on my brother's face. "Then as you wish." In the surveillance video, a huge electric saw blade appeared beneath the man. The next second, accompanied by the man's instantaneous, pig-like scream. Flesh and blood flew everywhere. The man was sawn in half alive. Chloe screamed and burst into tears, wailing uncontrollably. I watched her silently. Ashley was so scared she wet herself. Her whole body trembled like a leaf. Mike's face was pale, he was too terrified to speak. They hadn't expected my brother to actually do it. Even though he killed a person in such a cruel way, the expression on his face didn't change at all. My dad is already dead, so can you let me go? Brother, please let me go, I'll do anything for you, Chloe pleaded. I did do something awful to Sweetie, I'll change in the future. We're not even adults yet, we're just kids. I'll listen to Sweetie from now on, okay? Chloe begged mournfully. My brother looked down at her with pity. Do you believe the words of a madman? I've read Sweetie's diary, my brother sighed and said slowly. My lips trembled, but in the end, I said nothing. Sweetie said she also begged you to let her go. She's very kind, she can't bear to see anyone die for her. She clearly gave you so many chances to live, but you still wouldn't let her go. Now, you've used up all your chances. What did you say Sweetie's nickname in class was? Ah, right, it was bitch. Sweetie, brother will show you what a real bitch looks like, okay? My brother turned his head, his dark eyes staring at me as he spoke. Memories mixed with the scent of blood rushed to my mind. My hands trembled uncontrollably from extreme nervousness. I knew what he wanted to do. I shuddered violently. The surrounding temperature suddenly felt damp and cold. Mom sighed, all right, stop asking Sweetie. You know she's very soft-hearted. After Chloe knew her brother wouldn't let her go, she cursed us with almost the ugliest and most vicious words in the world. My brother didn't care at all. Instead, he very seriously measured Chloe's calf. The legs are too long. Dogs have short legs, right? A lot needs to be sawed off. The hands are too long too. Chloe was finally engulfed by despair. She suddenly remembered this man staring at her legs before she got into the car. So back then, he was already thinking of turning her into a dog. Sweetie, the next scene will be very bloody. I know you've never liked it, my brother grinned. Mom took my hand, Sweetie, let's go downstairs. We'll leave this dirty work to the men. Sandy. Don't go. Please save me. Sandy. Sandy. You can't just watch us die. I'm sorry, we were wrong, save us. The three of them cried uncontrollably, snot and tears streaming down their faces, screaming for me to save them. I looked numbly at these three faces, once so arrogant. Overwhelmed, I mumbled, I clearly told you, you can do whatever you want to me, just don't go to my house. I emphasized it so many times. Finally, I turned my head and followed Mom out of the room. The door slowly closed in front of me. What I couldn't see was their eyes, filled with utter despair. Just like every person I had seen killed before. Inside the door, there were screams. Piercing screams. But my house has a lot of soundproofing, so I don't have to worry about the neighbors hearing. I should be used to it by now. But the immense fear and the torment of my conscience still made tears stream down my face. I buried my face in Mom's embrace and sobbed uncontrollably. Mom stroked my hair, again and again. After crying for a long time, I looked up and stammered, Mom, will you kill me like this one day too? That day, I heard everything, I'm not your biological child. Mom looked at me in surprise, then she smiled. You mean what you heard when you were 8, what your dad and I were saying? Silly girl, how could you think you're not our biological child? Mommy would never lie to you, you're the precious baby Mommy carried for 10 months. Then, I said in disbelief. Mom sighed softly, I didn't want to tell you this originally, but now that you've grown up, you have the right to know the truth. Actually, your brother is the child we adopted. We thought he was a normal child, but as he grew up, his personality became more and more like ours. No, to be precise, he's a natural-born sociopath. We were worried he would harm you, so we kept hesitating whether to deal with him. But your brother, he really loves you. I mumbled a and clutched Mom's clothes tightly. At this moment, the screams from upstairs abruptly stopped. The door was slowly pushed open. My brother stood on the second floor. I looked up and met his face. That face, stained with blood yet still as handsome as a god's. But he looked as if he was afraid of scaring me, frantically trying to wipe the bloodstains from his face. But he didn't know, actually I am very happy. My name is Sandy. My parents are both natural-born sociopaths. Unfortunately, I didn't escape it. I inherited this personality too. It's just that I'm better at hiding myself. When I was 8, I already knew my brother was adopted by my parents. Honestly, the moment I found out the truth, I was incredibly relieved. I like my brother. The kind of like where I want to eat him, sew him into my body, and never be separated for all eternity. To make my brother protect me, I tried hard to pretend to be an innocent little flower. Every time he snuck into my room late at night to watch me, I couldn't help but tremble. Not because of fear, but because of excitement. I love my family very much. But sometimes they're quite naive. I don't know if I should say this, but they like to kill people, yet they often overlook things. The day my brother killed those 2 boys, I cleaned up the scene for him. The reason Dad hasn't been caught after killing people for so many years is because I've been diligently cleaning up his messes. Me, even though I live a hard life, constantly having to clean up after them, I still love my mom and dad, and my brother, the most. Epilogue. My name is Sandy. My brother is a Yandere with an antisocial personality. He always thought I was a delicate little flower. But actually, I'm even more twisted than him. The bodies of Chloe and her 2 companions were found in my homeroom teacher's house. It said that when the homeroom teacher was arrested, she cried and screamed that she didn't do it. But her fingerprints were found on all 3 bodies. Before the homeroom teacher was sentenced to death, I went to see her once. I just quietly said one sentence to her. And she became furiously angry, crying and screaming like a madwoman. So scary. I told her, I clearly gave her a chance. When I came out of the police station, my brother was waiting for me outside. Many girls were secretly checking him out. So annoying. I really want to gouge out all their eyes. I walked up to my brother with teary eyes and said with red eyes, although the teacher didn't help me before, isn't this too much for her? My delicate fingers clutched my brother's clothes tightly. I don't want to see the teacher die, it clearly wasn't her. My brother stroked my head and sighed softly, sweetie, people like her don't deserve to be teachers. Do you want her to face bullied students again in the future, and either turn a blind eye or even encourage the bullying? I mumbled an Seeing I wasn't in high spirits, my brother said he would take me for hot pot. I rarely smiled at him, but this time I did. Then I want to eat a lot of meat. Yes, it's time to celebrate. Without the interference of Chloe and the others, I successfully got into the best university in the province. The night before going to university, my brother stood by my bed, quietly looking at me. His gaze was like a snake, cold and sticky. My body couldn't help but tremble slightly. But not because of fear, but because of excitement. One corner of the bed dipped slightly. I could feel my brother sitting beside me. His fingers slid across my neck. I instinctively flinched. Sweetie, are you going to run away from me? My brother's low, hoarse sigh, his voice seemed to be desperately holding something back. I really want to keep you by my side forever. His hands tightened around my neck. The strong feeling of suffocation slowly turned my face red. I started to gasp for air. But I was very happy in my heart. Because my brother felt the same way about me. He wanted to keep me by his side forever. Brother. A little more, a little harder. If you use a little more force, my neck will break. But unfortunately, I finally couldn't help but open my eyes. My brother suddenly let go, a rare look of flustered panic flashing across his face. I let out a weak, frightened whimper. Brother, are you trying to kill me? He leaned close to my ear, painfully repeating I'm sorry over and over again. I chose to live in the dorm. Because I knew this would drive my brother crazy with jealousy. On the first day, Mom and Dad sent me. Dad looked at me reluctantly. He clearly smiled when he killed people, but now this terrifying man's eyes were red again and again because his daughter was leaving home. "Sweetie, can we not live in the dorm? If you think going to school is far, Dad will buy a villa near the school today," the tall man pleaded pitifully. Mom even smiled at me. "Sweetie, stay at home, okay? Otherwise, Mom is afraid she won't be able to control herself." I timidly stepped back, looking at them helplessly, and pleaded humbly, "I really want to live in the dorm, I want to live a normal college student's life." Mom's smile faded from her face. She stared at me expressionlessly for a long time, finally sighing heavily, "But if someone bullies you, Mom and Dad will still do what we did before, you know that, right?" I nodded nervously and mustered my courage to say, "I've already added my roommates, they are all very nice people." Mom and Dad finally agreed to let me live in the dorm. Dad was crying when Mom pulled him away. Dad mumbled with a tearful voice, "You're not worried about not seeing our daughter every day?" Mom rarely looked so serious. "You don't know, last night I wanted to see if Sweetie had kicked off her blanket, and then..." Mom's voice was drowned out by the noisy crowd. I turned and walked into the school. Before I entered the school, an intense gaze was fixed on me. I curled my lips, in a great mood, but pretended to look back in fear. After no longer seeing that familiar figure, I breathed a sigh of relief. Little did I know that the moment I left, my brother walked out from the corner, staring gloomily in the direction I had left. I stood blankly on the vast campus, somewhat at a loss. At this moment, a boy with delicate and gentle features appeared in front of me. "Hi, freshman, are you lost? I can take you to register." "My name is Alex, I'm the student council president," the boy said with a smile. I gave a timid smile and said softly, "Thank you, senior." Alex quickly took my luggage and led me forward. Along the way, he introduced the school to me very appropriately, completely like an enthusiastic senior. But he couldn't fool me. I smelled a faint scent of blood on Alex. The smell of blood was too familiar to me. People who kill for a long time have an indelible scent on them. Behind Alex, I happily curled my lips. Here we go. Another pawn to fuel the relationship between me and my brother. On the way, I accidentally tripped and fell. Alex, as expected, caught me very promptly. I blushed and said sorry. Alex looked at my face and smiled meaningfully. But he couldn't have imagined that I was silently counting in my head. 3, 2. Before I even finished counting to 1, a slender hand suddenly wrapped around my shoulder, pulling me into his embrace. My brother chuckled lowly, "Sweetie, sorry, brother is late." I frowned and struggled a little. I knew Alex would definitely not miss this small movement of mine. Sure enough, he asked with a serious face, "Sweetie, is he really your brother?" I gave a low and said softly, "Thank you for your trouble, senior. Just let my brother take me from here." Alex frowned but still smiled at me. "All right, then let's add each other. You're new, so there will be many things you don't understand. Contact me anytime." Under my brother's gloomy gaze, I blushed and exchanged information with Alex. After Alex left, my brother chuckled and said, "Sweetie was blushing just now. What, you like this type? But he's clearly not a good person." "Bro, don't talk about senior like that. Not everyone is like you." My face turned pale, and I stopped talking. My brother curled his lip and said, "Sweetie, why don't you continue?" He was smiling. But his eyes darkened little by little. Oh ho. Pawns are indeed still very useful. My new roommates are all pretty nice. But because they're too nice, it's not very interesting. I lay on my bed, eating chips, chatting idly with Alex. I have to say, he's really good at charming girls. The conversation topics are just right, completely appropriate. Much more sophisticated than those guys who start with hey and send a selfie. But that doesn't change the fact that he's a scumbag and a pawn. I quickly hacked into his phone. I saw him chatting with me while simultaneously chatting with 8 other girls. His time management skills and typing speed amazed me. Maybe I was his new target. He pinned me to the top. The note was, 5 feet 6 inches, innocent, ignorant, delicate flower. Soon, I found a group chat with 500 people. The group chat title was, Conquer Those Damn Bitches. All the members in the group were male. Alex even posted in the group today. He had secretly taken my photo and sent it to the group. Yo, that tender little face, I really want to peel her skin off. A delicate flower, huh? This is my favorite type to torture and kill. I've killed many before. Who let that bitch who abandoned me have this kind of look? Bro, take her down quickly. But bro, your methods are much more sophisticated than ours. You often don't even have to do it yourself to make women commit suicide for you. Before, one woman slit her wrists for you, another jumped from the 18th floor, awesome, awesome. Alex, you guys flatter me. This time, how do you all want me to torture this new prey? Cut off her feet. Peel off her face. Boring. How about we boil her alive and eat her? Stuff her into one of those huge ovens. The comments in the group were bloody and cruel. As if they weren't discussing a person, but some livestock waiting to be slaughtered. I chatted with Alex for many days. During this time, I hung up on my brother's calls. I rejected my brother's video calls. I knew he was about to lose it. I saw on Alex's phone that he had decided to kill me today. He wanted to strangle me until I had only one breath left, and then pour boiling water on me. The boiling water would scald my skin, and then he would scrape off my flesh layer by layer. This method of killing me received unanimous praise from the men in the group. Soon, Alex sent me a message. Sweetie, I want to ask you to watch a movie with me today, okay? Of course, I agreed. I hummed a song in a good mood and sent a message to my brother, whom I hadn't contacted for a long time. Bro, today I'm going to the movies with Alex. I'm begging you, he's really important to me, please don't hurt him. I perfectly portrayed a young girl in love, worried about her sweetheart. My brother didn't reply. But I knew he was already mad with jealousy. I went to the movies with Alex. After the movie ended, Alex's eyes sparkled with a strange light. He looked at me and said slowly, Sweetie, I want to take you to a place. It's very beautiful, you'll definitely like it. I nodded shyly. But the further I followed, the more I felt something was wrong. Senior, why is it getting darker and darker? I said, frightened and uneasy. Alex comforted me, Sweetie, we'll be there soon. It's okay, don't be afraid, I'm here. Finally, I followed Alex to our destination. This was an abandoned, dilapidated factory. Very dark. Nothing. I looked at Alex doubtfully. But Alex smiled. He took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Sweetie, do you know what kind of meat is the sweetest in the world? It's a woman's flesh. Pour boiling water on a woman's body, wait until her skin and flesh are scalded, then use a knife to scrape it off bit by bit. Alex licked his lips. Senior, why are you telling me this? I sensed something was wrong and turned to run in terror. But my hand was tightly gripped by Alex. In his other hand, he held a rope. Sweetie, our fun time has arrived. No, I thought to myself, not at all nervous. It's time for you to kick the bucket. Alex was tied up tightly. His own shoes were stuffed in his mouth, and he looked at us with terrified whimpers. Sweetie, now you know he's not a good person, right? My brother said expressionlessly. Senior, why did you do this? I really liked you. Tears streamed down my face. Sure enough, hearing the word like, the pressure around my brother dropped another level. He turned his head, smiled at me, and his slender fingers lifted my chin, saying, "Sweetie likes this man very much?" I first nodded, then quickly shook my head, saying with teary eyes, "There must be some misunderstanding, Alex shouldn't be like this." Alex looked at me and nodded frantically, whimpering incoherently. So noisy. My brother was indeed extremely angry. He walked over to Alex with a smile. "How about we use the method you planned to kill Sweetie, to kill you instead, okay?" Deep fear appeared on Alex's perverted face. Before killing Alex, my brother tied a ribbon around my eyes. "Sweetie, the next scene isn't something you'd like." My vision plunged into darkness. I only heard my brother sigh softly. Then I felt a warmth on my eyelids. A warm kiss landed through the ribbon. Alex's screams lasted for a long time. By the time I saw him again, he had become a bloody, mangled mess. My brother took a video with Alex's phone. He sent it to that chat group of 500 people. A deathly silence filled the group. In less than a minute, the group owner disbanded the group. "But it doesn't matter, we will find them, one by one. My brother will make them experience the most painful taste in the world." I watched my brother walk towards me, covered in blood. "Sweetie, are you very scared of me like this?" I nodded uneasily, but still tremblingly reached out and wiped the bloodstains from his face. Suddenly, the next moment, my brother hugged me tightly. The force was so strong, it felt like he wanted to crush me into his embrace. Brother's perspective. I have a younger sister, her name is Sandy. She's not my biological sister. But from the first moment I saw her, I liked her. When she sees me kill someone, she shows a frightened expression. But she's very strange. When I deliberately leave clues at the scene, she complains while cleaning them up. I finally know, she likes to act. My lovely Sweetie likes to play the role of a delicate, pitiable little flower. She likes me, but often deliberately does things that drive me crazy. Sweetie thinks I don't know anything. But actually, I know everything. Not just me, but Mom and Dad too, know her little quirks. But who are we to stop spoiling her? We can only continue to play along with her performance.